Hey, Chris, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, man? What's up?
Not much. What are you up to?
I just tying some D-loops, getting some stuff ready for the podcast.
Sweet, man. Get back to work.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hey guys, welcome to BowHunterPlanet.com's Test Lab. It's me, Dave Thomas, on Ashley Schnurr, and on today's show we're talking ladies' bows and what's going on in the marketplace. Ashley, what do you think is coming up this year?
Well, this bow actually right here is the Bowtech Permanent Knockout.
Hey, Carter, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? Those guys ready?
Yeah, well,
We're about to go live right now.
We're going
10
live
seconds,
now?
Right now?
Seriously?
Yeah,
hey,
go.
guys, we're going live in 10 seconds. Get in here.
Everybody in! Go! Let's go! Get in!
Hello and welcome to the BowHunterPlanet Podcast. Thanks for joining us on the live edition. It's myself, Dave Thomas, and Tim Mazarana. I can't believe I got that wrong. You did the opposite last week.
We won't redo it this time, though. You made me redo it live.
That's so funny. So today we're joined by Cole Tanner from Ozonics. How's it going, man? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Good, yeah. So what we wanted to ask you, and the biggest thing is, and the biggest question we get from consumers a lot about Ozonics is, how do you use it? Like, I want you to walk us through how it's used in the field and how it helps a hunter.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, like I said, the biggest thing I tell guys when it comes, men and women, like I said, when it comes to an Ozonics, think about an Ozonics a lot like a compound bow, right? You would never just walk into an archery shop, I guess, unless you're buying like a recurve, I guess, maybe, and just go take it straight out in the woods, right? You're gonna buy it. That's the first half, and then you're gonna make sure you set it up the right way. So that's the really big thing when it comes to these units, right? Like, they can help you and they can give you a huge advantage, but you got to set it up the right way. So unfortunately, in the past, a lot of people have just been buying them and they aren't using them the right way, right? And then they end up calling me, right?
What's your cell phone number?
yeah, exactly. I learned that the hard way. Yeah. So if you give out your cell phone number, people will call you at like 5 a.m. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, so that's the biggest thing right off the bat. It's obviously, getting one is awesome, but then you got to make sure you use it the right way. So really, we look at it. There's really two main applications for us. Is going to be in an open air environment and then in a closed air environment. So open air being a tree stand. So there's a few things that we kind of, live and die by that can really, really help you be successful. But before you really get into that, you really, more than anything, I think the thing that people are really starting to figure out is people understand that ozone can eliminate odor, right? They really, really get that part, you know what I mean? But then from there, their knowledge base really, really falls off, right? And unfortunately, we all kind of make our own perceptions and our own understanding of how things work, right?
Yeah.
And I was no different, right? When I bought how much stuff in the past in the hunting industry, if I didn't understand how it worked, I just went off of what I saw on a television show or what I had my buddies tell me, and then I just kind of fill in the blanks, right? And I fill in the gaps of that knowledge base. And unfortunately, that's happened a lot with ozone technology as well. So really, the first thing that you need to really understand before we even talk about how you use it is, one, ozone is 30% heavier than the air. Okay, so it's going to naturally, when ozone is exhausted out of an Ozonics unit, it's going to naturally fall. It's 30% heavier than the air. 48 grams per mole is the actual weight, if you wanted to get technical. So that's number one. Number two, ozone is very unstable, right? That's really what we're trying to do, is manipulate the instability of what ozone is. It doesn't want to be ozone, right? Ozone is 3 molecules of oxygen. So when that ozone is exhausted out of the unit, it naturally wants to fall. And then right off the bat, it's trying to stabilize. It doesn't want to be ozone. It wants to come in contact with whatever it can to become not ozone anymore, right? So that's number two. And that's really what we are trying to do. What everybody's trying to do is trying to manipulate the instability of ozone, right? Trying to manipulate the fact that it doesn't want to be that. It wants to stabilize. And when it stabilizes, it oxidizes. So when you're in a hunting application, your scent is getting carried away from you, whether in a ground blind or in a tree stand. And that ozone is exhausted out of the unit. It's 30% heavier than the air. It's naturally going to fall. So we're trying to create that interaction between your scent and the ozone, right? And when that interaction happens, that ozone is going to attach to that scent molecule, and it's going to try to oxidize that odor molecule, right? Which then stabilizes the ozone, right? It's not going to be ozone anymore. It turns back to oxygen. So think about your scent. A lot of guys say, well, how effective is it, or how does it work, right? So think about your human odor as a password, okay? And the password is human, the word human, right? So HUMAN, right? And deer, since the beginning of time, since caveman were throwing spears at them, right? They've known the password. They know the password is HUMAN. Well, from a molecular level, when ozone comes in contact with your scent molecule, it's going to oxidize that scent molecule, and it's going to change the molecular structure of that scent molecule, okay? So imagine it taking off the H and taking off the N. So now it's just UMA, right? So if I can change that molecular structure, I can change the complexity of your scent molecule, of your odor molecule. All of a sudden, that deer, they're trying to smell the password being human. Well, if you change that, if you take off the H, take off the N, it's no longer perceived as a threat, right? Because they
That's
don't
really cool,
know what that odor molecule is, right? And so that's really what ozone is doing. So how that comes back all around to a tree stand environment, what we do is completely based around what ozone does and doesn't do. So number one, in a tree stand, you want to make sure you have the unit 6 to 10 inches above your head from the position that you hunt from. So for me, being from Iowa, a lot of tree stand hunting, obviously, I stay in the majority of the time when I'm hunting. So I have it 6 to 10 inches above my head when I'm standing. That's number one, because like we said, ozone's 30% heavier than the air. It's naturally going to fall, right? So number two, it's all about direction. You need to make sure that you point the unit in the downwind direction. The front of the unit where the ozone is being exhausted, you always want to point it in the downwind direction. So I always tell guys, if I'm standing in your yard and I try to water the flowers, I don't water the grass, right? Water the flowers. So always make sure you point it in the downwind direction. Why that's so important is just like we talked about earlier. Ozone doesn't discriminate, right? It doesn't know the difference between your scent coming off of you. It doesn't know the difference between your boot or your hat or the bark on the tree, right? So one of the common mistakes that we see a lot of guys do, and a lot of it is because of what they see on television, right? Or they see, in whatever it might be. Let's say the wind is in your face. Like in this situation, the wind's hitting me right here. So where Bergie is sitting behind me, that's downwind. So what a lot of people end up doing is they put the unit above their head and they just point it right down in front of them like this, right? Well, that ozone has to come out of that unit, and then it has to try to get behind you, right? Well, during that whole time, it's touching your shirt, it's touching your jacket, your hat, it's touching the tree, and your scent is getting in front of that ozone. And that's not what we want to do. When I'm in a tree stand, I'm never trying to treat me. I'm just worried about my downwind side. I want to put as much ozone, create a curtain of ozone that all my scent has to go through that ozone.
I like the word curtain.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
It makes sense.
Absolutely. So that's number two. And then number three, it really comes down to the angle. And that's another common mistake. A lot of people will just put it above their head just at a flat like this. What we really want to be doing is in a tree stand, 0 to 12 mile an hour wind, about a 30-degree angle. And then as that wind starts to increase, 15 and above, you're really going to start to angle it more vertically down. In essence, think about that ozone like a water bottle. If I take a bottle of water, I just got one sitting here, but if I have this bottle of water and I want to pour it out slow, I just barely tip it, right? If I want to pour it out fast, I just tip it upside down. In essence, on a windier day, we're trying to pour that ozone that much faster into your downwind side. So like you said, it's 6 to 10 inches above your head, always point in the downwind direction, and then adjust the angle depending on the wind speed. And that's really, really going to help you be a lot more effective with it. And just focus on the fact that I'm not trying to put ozone on you. I'm trying to put as much ozone into your downwind side, creating that curtain that all your scent has to go through.
Yeah. So there's a very active component to this, meaning that you have to actively put the ozone out there. There's no like quote unquote lasting effect. Like you have to have it on, and because obviously your body's producing that scent nonstop, right? So you have to counteract that by keeping that unit on, which makes sense.
Well, absolutely, and like you said, to kind of piggyback off of that, we talk a lot about trying to chase the wind, right? And for me as a bow hunter, I am constantly checking the wind, constantly, always trying to just make sure that I have that unit positioned as best I can in my downwind direction, because wherever your downwind side is where your scent's going. But to your point as well, the thing I think a lot of people don't think about is a lot of guys understand, men and women understand that they can actively help eliminate their odor with an ozonics in a tree stand, right? Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because a lot of those people, being the guy that talks to these men and women all fall, all throughout the year, when I ask them, do you use it in a tree stand? They're like, absolutely. Using a ground blind? Heck yeah, man, I swear by it. Do you use it on the way in and out from the tree stand? And then everybody gets quiet, right? Even you guys, right? Like, it's so funny because you literally use an Ozonics in a tree stand. You understand that it gives you an advantage and it helps you become more undetectable, right? It helps eliminate odor. It helps you so you can get past the deer's nose. But then you put it in your backpack and walk all the way back out to your truck and put odor into your hunting area the whole way, or walk all the way out there without it running. It just to me it seems very counterintuitive. But like you said, a lot of people just don't. They're just like, well, I never even thought about that. I had a young guy the other day was like, listen, man, mine accidentally turned on and I made sure to shut it off. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I had a young guy from Kansas. I was at an event this last summer, and this young guy stands up. He's like, listen, I was wanting to hunt in an area where I knew I was going to have to walk right past their bedding area, and the wind was completely wrong. I literally ran my unit above my head, held it, on boost with my HR 300 above my head the whole way in. And he's like, literally, I mean, the guy thought he had reinvented the wheel, right? And I'm like, dude,
it's genius.
Dude, it's like funny though, because more power to him. Years ago, before they ever came out with, we used the kinetic pack, right? The unit fits in the top of it. It works great. Before they came out with that, I just walked with mine, right? I just I carry mine on my shoulder, or I carry mine just in my hand. I have my bow in one hand and the Ozonics in the other. So, but yeah, like you said, take that to the next step and realize that there is a difference, right? When you're actively trying to eliminate odor, you can do that the entire way, not just in a tree stand or in a ground blind.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, because a lot of times, and even me as a hunter, like what I'm thinking about is getting out there quick, getting out there quiet, but I'm not really thinking about that scent odor all the time as I'm moving out there. It comes with the territory, if you will. So you're just trying to make as small a scent by getting in there as quickly and as quietly as you can. But you don't think about something like this really being able to help you take it to that next level. I think that's a great point.
Absolutely. And the thing too that I think is really important is just like you just said, is, I mean, for me, like being from Iowa, I hunt 40 acres, or I hunt 20 acres, or I hunt 5 acres, right?
Yep.
And so there are times when, and we're all in the same boat, right? There's very few of us that really get to absolutely hunt for a living. I wish we all could, right? But like you said, wife and 3 kids, right? So I hunt when I can get out there, and sometimes that means I might have to walk into an area that I might have to jeopardize part of that property to get back to that stand. And ozone can help lessen that impact, right? And why wouldn't you be doing it on the way in and out? When you're checking trail cams all summer, right? When you're, even like I have a buddy that's shed hunting right now. He sent me a pic the other day of him wearing his kinetic pack, and he literally just a text said, just trying to lessen my impact. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it makes total sense.
I actually never thought of the idea of the way in, the way out. You know, you just assume you spray down with some sort of spray thing, but I guess that makes complete sense to me, to curtain the whole way in and out, like you're saying, the curtain part. I love the word curtain, because truly that's what this is. And I guess my questions are, from the stand of how this thing works, is it rechargeable or battery operated? I've actually never held a unit. Can you tell us about how it works and operates?
Yep. So what we're doing is it's run with a 12-volt lithium-ion battery. So there's the battery on the end. The battery fits in the bottom. It's rechargeable. It pops out of the unit. And then inside the unit is a fan. The fan is powered by the battery, obviously. That's pushing air through the unit. And then it's pushing that air over a coil. The coil is what's actually producing the ozone. It's the way we produce ozone is called the corona discharge method. So it's the same as lightning. If you've ever watched a slow-mo video of a lightning bolt or seen lightning bolt, see that purple glow on each side. That's actually where the electricity is fracturing the O2 and creating the O3, right? So it's the same as what we're doing. We're doing the same type of idea. The coil is a metal coil. Inside of that is a glass tube with metal shavings, and the metal shavings in that glass tube act as the ground. And then we're just doing tons of little lightning bolts, basically, right? Which is fracturing that O2 and creating the O3.
It's crazy.
That's
crazy. I never would have thought of that.
That's very cool.
Like, it's amazing.
And that's actually the really, really interesting is when we get people that know a lot about ozone, whether it's at these shows or guys call on the phone, and like, all right, man, so how'd you guys do that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did we do what? You know what I mean? And like, no, come on, man, I understand ozone, like I know how it works, but every unit I've ever seen is battery powered, right? Like, how did you guys do that where it's a it's a 12-volt lithium-ion battery, and there's a lot more volts running over that coil than 12, right?
Yeah. Oh, for
But
sure.
there's that grill, right? You don't want to be sticking your tongue on that bad boy, right?
I don't know, Dave. I think you should try it.
I think we should try it.
I mean, it's really going to zap you, right? So,
Yeah.
So like I said, that's the really interesting thing, is that it's a 12-volt battery, like I said, and then powering that coil. And it's not just for a second. It's not just like a lightning bolt where it's boom and it's gone. We're doing it for hours on end the whole time you're out in the woods, right? So it's pretty cool.
How long does a unit last? Like how long can I run it for?
Yep. So the unit, both the HR200 and the HR230 and the HR300 come with the standard battery that's going to run for 4 hours on boost mode, which is for a tree stand. We sell an XL battery, which is going to run twice as long. So a lot of men and women end up running with the standard and the XL. If you're going to be trying to sit all day, like I said, being an Iowa guy, I'm doing it all day sits as often as I can. So I run with the standard and the XL.
Where do people buy these at like a Bass Pro? Like where would they find them?
Yep. So the interesting thing is as of the beginning of the year, we've gone 100% direct, meaning that the only place you'll be able to find them moving forward to 2018 is off of our website, ozonicshunting.com. Yep.
Okay.
So that's gonna be, and then like I said, we've got a huge consumer show circuit that we're doing all this winter, spring, and then throughout the summer as well. So we'll be
awesome.
We'll be
Sounds like you're going to be busy.
Yeah, I'm on your website right now. I mean, the website
Yeah, we're on the
itself, I mean,
website.
it's a great looking website.
Really good job.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
good job to that too.
Amazing.
So, but you guys have some other products on there as well.
I
You got
noticed
some
that,
bags
yeah.
and some packs and some mounting accessories. Can you talk to us a little bit about that as well?
Yep. So like you said, what it really comes down to is we look at it as if there's passive scent control and active scent control, kind of what we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
So like you said, the awesome thing about what we're doing is it's in the field ozone generation, right? So that's where that kinetic pack really comes in handy. If you guys are looking at that,
Yep.
where the unit actually fits in the top of it.
Yeah, I think
and then,
that's
like you
this
said, you would run it the entire way from the from the truck to tree stand back to the truck again, right?
Yep.
It's 1,300 cubic inches of space in the bottom section. Adjustable shoulder straps, adjustable hip belt, and then from there, like I said, when we get into the passive scent control, and what I mean by passive is the fact that you really need to understand that, like you said, passive scent control is only going to eliminate existing odor, right? The
Right.
effectiveness degrades immediately, right?
Yeah.
So, like you said, does that have a place? Absolutely. Do I still do some passive scent control? Absolutely. But for me, I always tell guys, you really have to decide, would you rather focus on being set free when you're sitting in the truck or when you're walking in the woods? And for me, I'm all about trying to eliminate my odor when I'm walking in the woods. With that said, like I said, we also have the dry wash bag, which is going to be a passive scent control. The unit that you would use in the field is going to fit in the top of that. And then it's going to help the way that it's set up with the baffle system. Like we said, ozone's 30% heavier than the air, so it's naturally going to fall. That baffle keeps the ozone on the back half of the bag. But then, like we also know, ozone is very unstable, right? We also know ozone, it's all about surface area exposure on your clothing. We also know that ozone doesn't permeate clothing, right? So it's only going to treat stuff on the surface. So the way the bag's set up is we're pressurizing the bag and we're forcing the air in through the unit.
I like
and
that.
letting it out with a
Yeah.
small vent on the front. And so by doing that, that baffle keeps the ozone on the back half, and then that's going to push the ozone back up through the bag, which is going to help create the circulation and create that surface area exposure, and then let it out that vent on the front.
So would you recommend, like if I'm using the bag, like unzipping my coat, not keeping it zipped up, kind of doing that? Would I think about like turning it inside out even, so that I'm taking that scent out of the liner where that scent's going to be coming from, kind of down the road when I'm out in the field?
So, like you said, the thing you need to remember is that ozone is only going to treat it's all about surface area exposure, and it's only going to treat it right then and there, right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
So the thing you really need to focus on doing is one, making sure you're putting the right amount of ozone on your clothing for the right amount of time, right? Because too much ozone can be harmful, right? And that's the whole thing of what our units do, is it's a pulse technology that's actually turning that coil on and off. Think about it like a washing machine where it's pushing ozone through the bag, just like your washing machine where you pours water in, it cleanses the clothing, then it flushes it and then puts fresh water in. We're doing the same thing.
Okay.
The coil turns on, it's putting ozone through the bag, and then it turns the coil off and just puts fresh oxygen through the bag, because we don't want to put too much ozone on there for too long. So, but like you said, to your point, absolutely, like I said, it's all about surface area exposure, because if you only treat one side, you're only doing half the job. So you need to make sure to treat one side, turn your clothes inside out, and then treat the other side. Right? You're trying to create as much surface area as we can to help let that ozone come in contact with the clothing.
I was gonna say, Cole, I got a little issue here though because you had this beautiful beard and it looks like you've taken that away.
Yeah, what
now.
is that, man? That's kind of crap.
Tim was just talking about his beard. He just bought some putty for his beard, and a little
Putty
broom,
balm, man.
little
It's balm.
whatever balm, and you had this little.
Beard wax. Yeah.
I was gonna say you definitely know about it because in this picture you
Yeah,
definitely
dude,
had the
what's funny
beard.
So I actually just shaved it a few weeks ago. So I had it down to like here. It was pretty long, but I'm actually I'm training for an Ironman triathlon, and it just got to the point where it started to like separate in the middle, right? And it looked like it just was I was starting to get kind of dirty looks.
You're looking like the Vikings, man. You had the Vikings.
Yeah,
beard going.
I gotta admit, though, a little disappointed with that, man. Little disappointed.
Tim's he's going for the beard now. Actually, I trimmed mine too. Mine was really big in Christmas, but
Well, you're going.
mine never looked
Hawaii,
like Cole's though. See, that's the problem. Mine was like yours. It's just fluffy and it didn't really kind of looks ridiculous. You got all this like gray whites in there.
I'm in that. Like I'm a teenage. Like the problem is like I'm in that teenage stage right now where it's like really awkward. So it's got to grow out like
Quarter
another
life crisis?
3 inches, and then I think it'll look better. At least that's what I'm telling my wife.
That's usually where most people like let it go, because even mine, like I've got like a pretty big, like a quarter size hole on each side, but if you let it get past that little
covers
bit of
it.
and then it covers
Over the
it.
top,
Like,
yeah.
most guys shave it right there, and then they're done. Right?
Oh man,
I love it.
that beard. Yeah, I bought some of the. I think it's called something about Amish Blom when I had my beard. And dude, the stuff stank so bad.
Did it really?
It was horrid.
The stuff I have is really good.
No, it was bad. It didn't even smell good. And I told my wife, I go, "What does it smell like?" She's like, "It smells horrible. Stay away from me." I'm like, "This is not what I expected when you have this beautiful, luscious beard. I'm expecting her to like it, you know."
Love it.
Anyway, I'm looking at the website. I just want to say, hands down, this is an amazing job on the website. Very, very cool site. And I really love the fact that you guys are going direct to consumer. It's something I've been pushing for years in this industry. I feel like we always get consumed by all these, big shops, and we have to be in all this stuff. When really, if you do your marketing correctly, you can go direct to the consumer. Consumers like to be able to go on here and buy it through PayPal or whatever you have on here. It's awesome.
I avoid this store as much as possible.
I do
right?
too.
I mean, it just time. You got family, you got kids.
Yeah.
And you just don't want to waste the time and the gas and all that kind of stuff to get there and back and the lines and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to work out well for you guys.
Yeah.
So.
This is this the first year you've done this direct to consumer?
Yep. So that was just as of the beginning of 2018, January 1, right? So, and then like I said, guys, the whole idea behind that is really going consumer direct is really going to give us as a company at Ozonics the ability to innovate and take this company where we need it to go, right?
Yeah.
And really more than anything too is it really gives us the ability to meet the end consumer halfway a lot more, right?
Oh, for
and
sure.
allows us to be able to, like you said, I mean, and everybody knows this. It's retail, right? If I make something for $1 and I sell it to you for $2, you're going to sell it to the next guy for $4.
Yep.
Well, if I can cut out that
Extra
$2
cost,
person,
yeah.
then
For
all
sure.
of a sudden, then like I said, we can meet the consumer halfway. And then, like I said, it's going to allow us as a company to innovate and take this where it needs to go, right? And we just didn't really feel like there was any other way to do that.
Yeah.
So you guys got some big things in the works or what?
Oh, yeah. What's coming
Yeah,
up?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wish I was at liberty to say. But,
This is the show that you're supposed to
Come on.
divulge. Come on.
Live
Here-
right now,
here-
man.
here
You can
for-
break it to the world.
Yeah, and then this would be my last day at Ozonics, right? Absolutely. They're like, Cole, listen, we really appreciate you coming. You can find your own way back to Iowa.
Yeah, that's funny.
You don't have to go to Indianapolis next weekend.
What's and tell us real quick about the company. Is it owned by Buddy? Buddy, is that who owns it?
So Buddy is our VP. It's owned by a guy by the name of Scott Elrod.
Okay.
Buddy and Scott are both out of Houston, Texas. So like I said, they're both avid bow hunters, avid sportsmen, and that's kind of a cool story how this all came about. Scott is actually an oral surgeon, a dentist, and was doing a procedure, and they had an ozone generating system unit in their suite that they were doing a surgery. They were using it to help eliminate the smell from a cauterization, and then kind of just all of a sudden, the light bulb kind of came on. Like, I wonder if I could use this for hunting. And
that's really cool. I think Buddy's been on the show. Now I think about it. He was on the show back, maybe like episode. We're approaching 200 now, so it's it's a long.
It was back.
It was
early
back
on,
a ways.
though.
It was
Yeah,
around the beginning
it was.
because I remember I talked to Providence and he came on from there, and I talked to him after that too I was actually driving to a hunt,
Yeah.
and I called him. I was on a hunt, and we were going to a hunt, and we were talking about that. It was a lot of fun. That's the best part about this industry that I love is everybody hunts, and it's so exciting because like everybody's got cool stories, and and you get into that whole like, yeah, I'm on my way, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what's been working, and guess what? I just missed a 140-inch deer twice this year, and so. I've been saying that for years to bow companies, like that they should sell a direct-to-consumer bow. Not maybe their whole line, but they should always launch a bow that's direct-to-consumer. And I know there's a lot of politics with that and all that, but I just always felt like, dude, you at some point you can eliminate cost and go direct-to-consumer, offer something that maybe it's not the full line, right? But you can get something that, there's somewhere in the middle, meet in the middle,
Well, like I said, I mean, I think that the thing that's interesting about archery, the hunting industry, archery in general, bow hunting in general, is it's constantly evolving, right? And it's been evolving since Fred Bear and Howard Hill, right?
Yeah.
And since there's been all these innovations and all these things that come along. Yep, absolutely. And it's not going to change. It's not going to stop. And with the advent of the internet and with the advent of the world really just being that much smaller, right? I mean, golly, I'm literally. We are talking through a cell phone right now. Like, give me a break.
It's crazy.
Wasn't that in that book, whatever that book was called, 1984 or whatever? That guy said we're going to all be driving around in floating cars or something. I mean, it's like it's crazy what we can do with the internet, and that is starting to happen in the hunting industry as well. And we're just trying to stay on the front end. We're just trying to stay on the front end of that.
If you want to hear a good story, just listen to our podcast on moon landing. We debate if it really happened. It's really funny.
That's awesome.
There's a huge debate, and it's funny because Kevin, he's in the, in his 60s. He lived through that time frame, so I purposely had him in the room when we did it, and
was he rolling his eyes?
I played
like,
devil's advocate, and I said, "There's no way it happened. It's a hoax." And he's like, "Are you serious? I lived through that. It happened." I go, "They robbed you. They lied."
Did you see it?
I got to.
Were you there?
I'll tell you what, when you talk about all that type of stuff, I got to do a hunt a couple years ago with a buddy of mine named Mike Brazil down near Hondo, New Mexico, which is just outside of Roswell, and we got to go look at that Roswell museum. And
is it cool?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Huh.
I'll tell you what, if you ever have a chance to go there, it's really something. It'll make you question everything.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
and
crazy.
I'm a dork. I'm like obsessed with McDonald's. That's like my weakness is McDonald's. They have a McDonald's there that's shaped like a UFO. So
what?
Yeah, it's awesome.
That
it's
is seriously hilarious.
It's my favorite McDonald's ever.
Oh man! All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it on the show.
Yeah, right on, man. I appreciate it. Like I said,
next time, hopefully you can come in and hang out with us, have a couple drinks and some bear chili. We have a good time in the studio. It's a lot of fun every week. But so if you're out there, go to OzonicsHunting.com. Check out all the great stuff they have. Obviously they have the dispenser itself, but they have tons of accessories on there. I was really impressed by all the stuff you guys have. So check all that out. Extra batteries. They just got everything. And again, direct to consumer. So this is your chance to check this stuff out and get to it. Cole, thanks again, man, for joining us. We appreciate it. And
right on, dude.
We'll see you guys next time on the podcast.